Welcome back. Chapter 11. We visit the Garden Gnome Emporium. So the kids are just getting back after a bus exploded after they met Mrs. Dodds and company. In a way, it's nice to know there are Greek gods out there because you have somebody to blame when things go wrong. For instance, when you're walking away from a bus that's just been attacked by monster hags and blown up by lightning, and it's raining on top of everything else, most people might think it's really bad luck. When you're a half-blood, you understand that some divine force really is trying to mess up your day. So there we were, Annabeth, Grover, and I, walking through the woods along the New Jersey riverbank, the glow of New York City making the night skies yellow behind us, and the smell of the Hudson reeking in our noses. Grover was shivering and baying, his big gold eyes turned slit-pupiled and full of terror. 3 kindly ones, all 3 at once. I was pretty much in shock myself. The explosion of the bus windows still rang in my ears, but Annabeth kept pulling us along, saying, "Come on, the farther we get away, the better." All our money was back there, I reminded her. Our food and clothes, everything. Well, maybe if you hadn't decided to jump into the fight. What did you want me to do, let you get killed? You don't need to protect me, Percy. I would have been fine. Yeah, sliced like sandwich bread, Grover put in, but fine. Shut up, goat boy, said Annabeth. Grover brayed mournfully. Tin cans. A perfectly good bag of tin cans. We sloshed across the mushy ground, through nasty twisted trees that smelled like sour laundry. After a few minutes, Annabeth fell into line next to me. Look, her voice faltered. I appreciate your coming back for us, okay? That was really brave. We're a team, right? She was silent for a few more steps. It's just that if you died, aside from the fact that it would really suck for you, it would mean the quest was over. This may be my only chance to see the real world. She doesn't care about Percy at all. She just cares about the quest. The thunderstorm had finally let up. The city glow faded behind us, leaving us in almost total darkness. I couldn't see anything of Annabeth except a glint of her blonde hair. You haven't left Camp Half-Blood since you were 7, I asked her. No, only short field trips. My dad, the history professor. Yeah, it didn't work out me living at home. I mean, Camp Half-Blood is my home. She was rushing her words out now as if she was afraid somebody might try to stop her. At camp, you train, and that's all cool and everything, but the real world is where the monsters are. That's where you learn whether you're any good or not. If I didn't know better, I could have sworn I heard doubt in her voice. You're pretty good at that knife, I said. You think so? Anybody who can piggyback ride a Fury is okay by me. I couldn't really see, but I thought she might have smiled. You know, she said, maybe I should tell you. Something funny back on the bus. Whatever she wanted to say was interrupted by a shrill toot, toot, toot. The sound of like an owl being tortured. Hey, my reed pipes still work, Grover cried. If I could just remember a Fine Path song, we could get out of these woods. He puffed out a few notes, but the tune still sounded suspiciously like Hilary Duff. Instead of finding a path, I immediately slammed into a tree and got a nice-sized knot on my head. Add to the list of my superpowers, I did not have infrared vision. After tripping and cursing and generally feeling miserable for another mile or so, I started to see light up ahead, the colors of a neon sign. I could smell food, fried, greasy, excellent food. I realized I hadn't eaten anything unhealthy since I'd arrived at Half-Blood Hill, where we lived on grapes, bread, cheese, and extra lean-cut, nymph-prepared barbecue. This boy needed a double cheeseburger. We kept walking until I saw a deserted 2-lane road through the trees. On the other side was a closed-down gas station, a tattered billboard for a 1990s movie, and one open business, which was a good source of the neon light and the good smell. It wasn't a fast food restaurant like I'd hoped. It was one of those weird roadside curio shops that had all those lawn flamingos and wooden Indians and cement grizzly bears and stuff like that. The main building was a long, low warehouse surrounded by acres of statuary. The neon sign above the gate was impossible for me to read because if there's anything worse for my dyslexia than regular English, it's red cursive neon English. To me, it looked like a Tio Mesk go in. What the heck does that say? I asked. I don't know, Annabeth said. She loved reading so much I'd forgotten she was dyslexic too. Grover translated, Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium. Flanking the entrance, as advertised, were two cement garden gnomes, ugly, bearded little runts, smiling and waving as if they were about to get their pictures taken. I crossed the street, following the smell of hamburgers. Hey, Grover warned. The lights are on inside, Annabeth said. Maybe it's open. Snack bar, I said wistfully. Snack bar, she agreed. Are you too crazy? Grover said. This place is weird. We ignored him. The front lot was a forest of statues, cement animals, cement children, even a cement satyr playing the pipes, which gave Grover the creeps. Blah! He bleated. Looks like my Uncle Ferdinand. We stopped at the warehouse door. Don't knock, Grover pleaded. I smell monsters. Your nose is clogged up from the Furies, Annabeth told him. All I smell is burgers. Aren't you hungry? Meat, he said scornfully. I'm a vegetarian. You eat cheese enchiladas in aluminum cans, I reminded him. Those are vegetables. Come on, let's leave. Those statues are looking at me. Then the door creaked open, and standing in front of us was a tall Middle Eastern woman, and at least I assumed she was Middle Eastern, because she wore a long black gown that covered everything but her hands, and her head was completely veiled. Her eyes glinted behind a curtain of black gauze, but that was about all I could make out. Her coffee-colored hands looked old but well manicured and elegant, so I imagined she was a grandmother who had once been a beautiful lady. Her accent sounded vaguely Middle Eastern, too. She said, Children, it is too late to be out all alone. Where are your parents? They're, Annabeth started to say. We're orphans, I said. Orphans, the woman said. The word sounded alien in her mouth. But, my dear, surely not. We got separated from our caravan, I said. Our circus caravan. The ringmaster told us to meet him at the gas station if we got lost, but he may have forgotten, or maybe he meant a different gas station. Anyway, we're lost. Is that food I smell? Oh, my dears, the woman said. You must come in, poor children. I am Auntie M. Go straight through to the back of the warehouse, please. There's a dining area. We thanked her and went inside. Annabeth muttered to me, Circus caravan? Always have a strategy, right? Your head is full of kelp. The warehouse is filled with more statues, people, all different poses, wearing different outfits, and with different expressions on their faces. I was thinking you'd have to have a pretty huge garden to fit even one of these statues because they're all life-size. But mostly I was thinking about food. Go ahead and call me an idiot for walking into a strange lady's shop just like that because I was hungry, but I do impulsive things sometimes. Plus, you've never smelled Auntie M's burgers. The aroma was like laughing gas in the dentist chair. It made everything else go away. I barely noticed Grover's nervous whimpers, or the way the statue's eyes seemed to follow me, or the fact that Auntie M had locked the door behind us. This is not good. All I cared about was finding the dining area, and sure enough, there it was at the back of the warehouse, a fast food counter with a grill, a soda fountain, a pretzel heater, and a nacho cheese dispenser. Everything you could want, plus a few steel picnic tables up front. Please sit down, Auntie M said. Awesome, I said. Grover said reluctantly, We don't have any money, ma'am. Before I could jab him in the ribs, Auntie M said, No, children, no money? This is a special case, yes? It is my treat for such nice orphans. So she has delicious food and she's giving it to them for free. Do you trust her? I know I wouldn't. I'd be trying to get out of there. Thank you, ma'am, Annabeth said. Auntie M stiffened as if Annabeth had done something wrong, but then the old woman relaxed just as quickly, so I figured it must have been my imagination. Quite all right, Annabeth, she said. How does she know Annabeth's name? You have such beautiful gray eyes, child. Only later did I wonder how she knew Annabeth's name, even though we had never introduced ourselves. Our hostess disappeared behind the snack counter and started cooking. Before we knew it, she'd bought us plastic trays heaped with double cheeseburgers, vanilla shakes, and double extra large servings of French fries. I was halfway through my burger before I remembered to breathe. You should be getting out of here. Annabeth slurped her shake. Grover picked at the fries and eyed the tray's wax paper liner as if he might go for that, but he still looked too nervous to eat. What's that hissing noise? He asked. I listened, but didn't hear anything. Annabeth shook her head. Hissing? Auntie M asked. Perhaps you hear the deep fryer oil. You have keen ears, Grover. She knows Grover's name, too. I take vitamins for my ears. That's admirable, she said, but please relax. Auntie M ate nothing. She hadn't taken off her headdress even to cook, and now she sat forward and interlaced her fingers and watched us eat. It was a little unsettling having someone stare at me when I couldn't see her face, but I was feeling satisfied after the burger and a little sleepy, and I figured the least I could do was try to make small talk with our hostess. So, you sell gnomes? I said, trying to sound interested. Oh, yes, Auntie M said, and animals, and people. Anything for the garden. Custom orders, statuary is very popular, you know. A lot of business on this road? Not so much, no. Since the highway was built, most cars don't go this way now. I must cherish every customer I get. My neck tangled as if somebody else was looking at me. I turned, but it was just a statue of a young girl holding an Easter basket. The detail was incredible. Much better than what you see in most garden statues, but something was wrong with her face. It looked as if she were startled or even terrified. We'll stop here for right now and find out more about Auntie M tomorrow.